again, yeah, good morning to who is joining from Europe. Welcome to this US SME Center event. It's a hybrid event. We have an offline venue here in Beijing, as you can see. Very welcome. But we also have some participants from joining online from Europe. Unfortunately, yeah, that's the only way to do things. But we are very happy that we managed to still have an offline participation. It's good to do offline events, and thank you all for coming here. So today's event, it's about the winter sports. Of course, in these days, the Winter Olympics in Beijing are taking place. They will finish soon, and a lot has been said about, of course, the winter sports industry, the Winter Olympics. We have seen how significantly, how rapidly the industry has grown in recent years. A lot has been said, but a bit less has been said about what will happen next, because uh, yeah, and will this growth continue in the future? What the outlook will be like? So that's why we are doing this event today. My name, I forgot to mention, is Alessio Pettino. I'm the knowledge coordinator of the EU SME Center in Beijing. This doesn't seem to work for what? Can we just change the slide? So yeah, today's event will be mostly divided into two parts. During the first part, we will have some presentation from two presentations from two speakers, which will cover, let's say, horizontal. It will provide an overview of opportunities, challenges, as well as trends, directions of the industry. And then the second part, there will be a panel from, we will have three representatives from three European companies involved in the winter sports industries in different segments. We have retail, we have machinery, we have infrastructure, and so on. And then there will be a Q&A at the end. For those of you who are joining offline, at the end there will be networking event. We will have some wine, and we will also be live streaming some of the races that will take place tonight. For those of you joining online, I'm sorry. But before starting, I would like to spend a couple of minutes on the USME Center. For those of you who don't know us, the USME Center is a project funded by the European Commission. It has been founded since 2010. And our mission is to help European small and medium enterprises to export to China, to come to China, to get ready to work in China. We are in a third phase, and we are run actually by a consortium of 5 chambers of commerce, which you can see here on the bottom. And among these, the China-Italy Chamber of Commerce is the coordinator of the consortium, and we are very happy to organize this event today together with them. We partner with a lot of agencies, government, business, or other platforms, and we have a physical office actually, which is right there in the DRC here in Sullivan. So you're also very welcome to visit our office if you want. Very quickly, we provide 4 main types of services. The first one is what we call knowledge center. Basically, we write reports, case studies, guidelines on different sectors, different aspects of doing business in China. Second service is what we call advice center, which is basically a sort of help desk that companies can use to ask questions, to ask technical questions. For instance, I have this problem with the customs, or I need this, which standard I need to comply with, and so on. And you can ask these questions to us, and we respond free of charge. We have training center, basically like we are doing today, like we do workshops, trainings on different sectors, again, different topics. And last, we have an advocacy platform through which we try to disseminate information about new regulations or calls for comments, and so on. Just an overview. We are very busy actually. We do many events, and this is just an overview of what will happen in the next weeks. We cover intercultural communication, negotiations, cross-border payments, logistics, and many other topics. So these are all free. You are all welcome to attend. And more information will be on our website. So yes, before I would like to give the floor to welcome Mr. Renzo Isler here, who is the Secretary General of the China-Italy Chamber of Commerce. And as I said before, the China International of Commerce is the coordinator of our USME Center project, and Renzo also is the coordinator of the entire project. So thank you, Renzo, and
thank you, Alessio. Thank you all for being here. It's a great pleasure for me to be in this important room, but most importantly to take part in this important event. For me, I think it has an extra flavor for two reasons. First of all, because I've been in Beijing since 2005, and therefore I have witnessed the Summer Olympics in 2008, where I really attended. I spent a fortune of money for buying tickets, but it was a great event. And again, to be for the second time, it's a historical thing, as we all know. Two Olympics in the same city, winter and summer, never happened before. And so China has to be proud of this. But the third important thing is that the next Winter Olympics are going to be in Italy, which is my home country. So super excited to witness here. And I don't know where 4 years from now I will be, but maybe I'm back in Italy and enjoying the summer, the Winter Games in Cortina and Milan. So what are we as the Italian Chamber? We are a Chamber of Commerce, as we as well know. We are in 800. We have 800 more members. We have been around for more than 30 years. Last year we celebrated our 30th anniversary in China, and we have 7 offices spread around China, as you see with the red dots. We are part of a system, you can say an Italian system, gravitating mostly around the Italian embassy. But there's the Italian Trade Agency, the Italian National Tourist Office, the Cultural Institute, and the Italian Chamber. These two, the National Tourist Office and the Cultural Institute, are quite important because this year for Italy is the year of tourism and culture in China. So we're celebrating this with this particular events in different locations in China. The other thing that we do, we have working groups. There are 12 different areas that we are working on with a specified group of people. All these are Italian people that are working in China. They have their own industries, and they're trying to promote their different industries in the best way they can. What we do, the services, assistance, consultancy, I think that pretty much the typical things that the Chamber of Commerce does for their own members. And this is an important part of the activities. That's where there is a good synergy between the Italian Chamber of Commerce and the USME Center, because we both are aiming for the same goal. The European Union SME Center, of course, is looking for the whole Europe countries, so all the countries would fall under their focus. For Italian, of course, we are focusing more on the Italian businesses. But all these things that we're doing it pretty efficiently. Different offices are spread around different places in China. Most recent ones in Chengdu and in Shenzhen that we have opened up most recently. But we have also been planning to consider as opening up other 2 offices, but I cannot disclose because this is still in the makings. So we're expanding, we're doing a lot of important jobs. Okay, one word on today's event. Today's event is perhaps one of the most interesting events. That's why I wanted to attend in person, because first of all, because I love winter games, I love winter sports. I love skiing. I come from the northeast of Italy, so I've been skiing before coming to China. So, it's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful activity. What is challenging, what is interesting, and I would be very curious to listen to our speakers is, okay, what's happening next? So what are the things that we can expect after these games, especially for China in this particular sector? So having said that, I stop here. And I give the floor back to Alessio, who will be the master of the ceremony and coordinator of all this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Renzo. Yeah, without further ado, I would then move into the first presentation of today's event. It's a pleasure to welcome Ms. Zhang, who is Vice President of Asia Digital Group, IDG. Miss Zhang has been, she has over 20 years of work experience in the industry, in the sports industry and government, with the industry, government and academia, and with a lot of international background in China, USA, and Europe. Maybe Ms. Zhang has a lot of experience in innovation, entrepreneurship, investment, mergers and acquisitions. But maybe I will leave your introduction if you want to ask a few more words to yourself. You will know better how to introduce yourself. So yes, welcome. Thank you for being here, and you might come.
Thank you.
You can switch slide. Maybe we should change. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And hello, everyone. This is Zhang, yes, from ADG. And I first of all would like to extend my welcome and also my thanks for the support to this whole industry, to everyone sitting here, also to my dearest friends from China and also abroad, online and also offline here. So today, I'm also very excited and happy to be here to talk about the winter sports development in China and also what will happen after the Olympic Games. I guess today I have also three roles or three status to be here. First, maybe as everybody knows, yes, from the industry, I have been involved in the winter sports industry for a long time as what we have been doing before, for example, as investor, doing a lot of market research and also running this World Winter Sports Expo. So we have been doing a lot in this industry. So I do have a lot to share with everyone here. That's the first role, as everybody knows. Second, yes, I think I have seen many old friends here. So as just one old friends to this ice and snow circle in China, I'm very happy to meet everyone. And the third one, I guess, like also Renzo mentioned, I'm also a ski, lover. From what you see here, one clarification, this is not because of skiing, but I truly, yes, enjoy skiing a lot and also enjoying meeting and getting to know new friends, yes, in this circle. So given these three roles, yes, I'm very happy to share some information, yes, about the whole industry, yes, in China, and what personally I will see, yes, in the future. So I will talk about, yes, the whole, industry, and then maybe going a little bit deeper into each specific segments, and then, some, being related to the future and also the opportunities and some of my suggestions. For this one, everybody will be very familiar. When we're talking about skiing or winter sports, my European friends always said that the kids were born with skis. But in China here, it's true that many people still haven't seen snow before. So from this, we can easily see that even for the whole Asia, it doesn't account for that much in terms of the whole winter sports industry. However, that only means that we start at a very late stage. We have been developing really fast. And let's see what has been happening for the past few years in China. This actually is a forecasting. So you can see here, this is expected to be like this value, and expected to be this, and expected to be this. So that means for the whole industry, originally we have this expectation saying that because of the 2022 Olympic Games, we wish that by the year 2025, the whole industry's output would be 1 trillion RMB. And right now, it should be 800 billion RMB. So this is what we have seen actually from this value. But however, what is the realized value in our reality? And we can see that this is the projection we were thinking. And now this is the real value. From this, I have to say that even though there is a dramatic drop in the year 2020, that's mainly because of the pandemic. But as a Chinese, I'm also very proud to say that we have been really following the path from the 2016, after we successfully won the host bid. The whole value even actually until 2021, now it is already nearly, nearly 600 billion RMB. So it is very, for me, I'm always very optimistic. I think it is very likely that we will reach the output of 1 trillion RMB by the year 2025. Despite this job, we can see that actually just during the past 2 years, we have increased 50%. So that's really a huge increase. And that's our target, 1 trillion RMB. When we were talking about the whole development in the winter sports industry, and I have to say that everything truly is related to, first of all, the governmental policy. So we have seen that for the past few years, the Chinese government, either from the central level or actually the provincial or municipality level, they have actually issued various kinds of policies related to winter sports. I'm not going to elaborate them as everyone, but I want to say that this will be actually related, for example, to the venue constructions and operation, or this will be related to the sports development itself, or even the ice and snow tourism. So people were asking me what will happen after the year 2022. From this, we can see that only not long time ago, even in the year last year, October and also February, China has also issued the future plan to develop the winter sports tourism, and they have very detailed action plans. And also even in our 5th five-year plan, it is also emphasizing that winter sports, especially in terms of the manufacturing and also the tourism related to these two sectors, will be also heavily developed in the future. So these are some policy background. And given this background, we know that we have the top level, the policy, and then we see so many companies coming actually out of this background. As a result, for the past 2 years, every year there are about over 3,000 companies registered in this industry. So till this January, this year, in China, for the companies that have been registered in the winter sports industry, it has already outnumbered 21,000. So that's only happening within the past few years. So really a dramatic development. And now I would like to go a little bit deep into each segment. So the first one, when we are talking about this Olympic background, we have the policy there, and it is first reflected in the infrastructure. So we see that for the past few years, we have about 157 heavy asset projects involved in the winter sports. That may refer to some venues, but also to some basic infrastructure. And especially when we are looking at the transportation itself related to winter sports. For example, the high-speed train connecting Beijing to Zhang and also other areas, that's already 2.47 trillion RMB within the past few years. So this, on the one hand, has shown this kind of dedication of the government's input and investment. On the other hand, it also has laid a very good groundwork for the development of this whole industry. So now if we go a little bit further into the venues, I have a couple of numbers here in terms of the ice rinks and also the ski resorts. I want to make some clarification here. The ice rinks we are calculating here, we are generating this winter sports industry every year. For this number, this also includes those kind of, we call that wild ice rinks. So a natural one. So if we're only really looking at those very well renovated and operated ice rinks, the number here should be 600 something. So this is some clarification I want to make. But of course, for these numbers, I have also seen different versions from the General Administration of Sports, from also other researchers. But more or less, they are actually at this level, even though they may differ a little bit. And one thing I want to mention is here, this number, the participants. When we started the bidding for the Winter Olympic Games, our presidency has started or initiated this engaging 300 million people on the ice and snow. When I was traveling abroad previously, especially before the pandemic, I was always asked by everyone, how could you realize this number? Is that realistic? But now I have to say that we really made it. Even for this number, until last year, when we were calculating, we have already reached the number, that is already outnumbering 300 million people on the ice and snow. Of course, this doesn't mean skiers. It means all those people who are also doing even skiing tourism. For example, taking the kids to the ski resorts, maybe just taking pictures. But however, this number is there already. And after the Olympic Games, I have to say that this will also increase. I will explain more in the future. So for the past few years, we can see the increase of the venues, yes, in terms of the numbers. And if we would like to see the distribution, some very interesting phenomena we have observed. You can see that given the kind of geographic restriction and also the nature, it is not hard to imagine in the northern part of China, the industry has been developing fast. But however, one very interesting phenomenon we observed here, either in terms of this is the ice rinks or the ski resorts, and also in terms of the indoors, and also the dry ski resorts. What I want to say that actually it's very interesting that we see this phenomenon of the expansion of the winter sports industry's development into the southern area. So one thing that they are very popular, in the southern area is the indoor, ski resorts. So this is something I think also where the business opportunity lies for those companies who would really like to come into the Chinese market. But of course, behind this is the whole value chain, in terms of, for example, the ice and snow making technology, and also the equipments and even the apparel and etc. So here also are some numbers, yes, from the different ski resorts and also number of visits. So that is about the venues. What I want to elaborate a little bit more when talking about venues, that is after the 2022 Olympic Games. Last week, I was also talking with the owner from Sunik. That's also one very popular indoor ski resorts in China. They have run a couple of them already, yes, in Guangzhou, in Chengdu, and also in the northern part, Harbin, and etc. And they were saying that despite of the pandemic, they noticed actually their revenue have been increasing for the past year, yes. And especially when they were talking about this indoor ski resorts in Guangzhou, when they first set up that ski resort, it was not that close to the center, and they were worrying about that. But however, during the first year, it was already actually the total number of visits already outnumbered 1 million. So that's really a big increase in this industry in the southern area. So after the 2022, we share this kind of similar feeling that when we were discussing about the venues, maybe the venues may not increase that much, but however, the consumption, revenue at each specific area will surely increase, and they are already seeing this kind of trend right now. So that's the venues, and this is about the large equipments. This may include, for example, the cable cars, also the cannons or all those things. One thing I want to point out here is what we see before and after the 2022 Games. Before, we do see that many international brands like Puma, Doberman, all those international or Western brands coming into the Chinese market, and they have been occupying, it's true that, a large share of the whole market. But however, now we do see this kind of development of the domestic companies in this industry. either in terms of like yes, cable cars or like yes, snow or ice making technologies. Even though I have to admit that there is a long way for us to catch up. But the good thing is, I read some number last week. In terms of, I think some like yes, revenues for the larger equipments, we have already like outnumbered the import. I mean, for the domestic companies' output. So that's actually one change, I guess, before and also after this Olympic game. In terms of the very advanced equipment, I'm pretty sure that there will be so many opportunities for the foreign companies to come into the Chinese market. But however, for some ski resorts or some places, they may not like require that high technology equipment. So that would be the kind of segment for the development for many domestic or Chinese companies. So what I want to explain here is, it doesn't mean that after 2022, there wouldn't be any opportunities for the foreign companies. They are only just the two different, like yes, segments. But the high-tech ones, still, I have to admit that we need to rely also on the import of the foreign companies. So next, I would also like to talk about more from the consumer side. That's the population. We have actually calculated the number of skier visits and also the number of the person related to the winter sports industry in the past few years. And here we can see that that was an expectation, but now we have already outnumbered 300 million people in the whole industry. And if we look a little bit deeper, in terms of actually the area, still right now, yes, for various reasons, the Olympics, the natural, like yes, like natural advantages and everything. So it is right now still like yes, focusing on the northern part, but still we do see actually this increase of the population of the winter ice and snow industry in the southern area. And here we also have the like distribution. You can see, for example, for Sichuan province and for like Shanxi province, we can see the number, they are increasing as well. And also when talking about the southern area, I also see very interesting phenomenon. When we are looking at the like I think east south like area. So usually those areas are rather developed. So we do see many indoor facilities and indoor venues. And for the west, actually south area, we do see very interesting thing that they still have some like yes, open ski resorts like Guizhou province or Yunnan province. And the distribution of the population are very different from the distribution in, for example, Sichuan province or Guangdong province. And we do some also analysis on the gender. Still is like male, like yes, dominated now, but females are catching up. And especially every year, this number is changing. We used to have the year almost a half. So this is, and also this is actually regarding to the age. When we're talking the age, the population is still around those who are born in the 80s or 90s. I guess, well, 70s as well. Partly it's also related to the money in your pocket, because we all know for winter sports, yes, it's related to the income level. But however, especially these days, when we were watching the Olympic Games together with my friends, when we were seeing many like young people winning the medals, yes, gold medals like Eileen or others, they also set one good example for the youngsters. I guess also in the future for this population, for those who are born in the 90s or 2000, I guess there will be more and more people in that area. And also one very interesting thing not showing here is when we're talking about skiing and snowboarding, we notice, especially for indoor venues, yes, there are so much higher number of snowboarding than skiers. I think it's also related to some kind of fashion or some cool image, yes, set up by this industry. Yes, this is related to the income, like yes, distribution and how yes, it's reflected in this whole industry. And also more analysis about the frequency in different sports. And we can see here, still the majority actually is skating. This is, I think, historic reason. Yes, everybody knows that in China, like skating is was very popular in our childhood. And skiing, yes, increasing quite a lot. And also, even a lot of other things are like, yes, increasing during the past few years. And related to the population, we come to the personal apparels, this individual equipments, the goggles, and also the skis, and also the apparels, and etc. And it is also a very huge market. And we can see like every year, yes, this has been growing like, yes, dramatically. And also another thing related to the population is the tourism, traveling, like yes, catering and hotels and etc. So this is a very huge number, like yes, over 300 billion. That's also realized value. Also, we are expecting in the future in this sector, ice and snow tourism, this will be actually the focus of the increase in winter sports industry in China. Yes, but thanks also to our large population as well. We were thinking for this one, for example, per capita, the annual consumption on winter sports is about 3,000 to 5,000 RMB. And that's totaling this number when we are looking at those people. And also another thing related to the population is the training. So we were saying that by the year 2025, in China, we will have over 5,000 schools that are specialized in winter sports. And that also means the talents, the judges and everything, yes, that are required. So that's also some weak points for China. And that's also the reason why at all the ski resorts, I see like many foreign instructors. I got also many friends from like, yes, from Italy, yes, from Austria, from like Germany, Canada, even New Zealand. And also the sports club, winter sports club as well. We do see like, yes, many popping up right now. And every year at our World Winter Sports Expo, we were also issuing or selecting the best like, yes, sports club. So those actually are some numbers for this industry. And when we are talking about the opportunities in this industry, I just would like to mention a few points. The first point is actually the COVID-19. Many people have a question mark when we are talking about this. What I want to say here is actually the COVID-19 has brought like very big impacts. Yeah, has brought a big impact to the whole industry in terms of, for example, shutdown for ski resorts and also the cancellation of the events and etc. But that was what was happening, yes, especially for 2019 and 20, and occasionally nowadays. But I want to say, because of this, now what I see COVID-19 has brought to China, actually, I think three things. First thing is this kind of emphasis on the health-related issues. So that refers to the outdoor activities. So many Chinese people start to pay more attention to that. And the second one is this kind of revenge consumption. After being indoors for so long time, and also because of the pandemic, people cannot really travel abroad. So they can only consume and also ski in China. So that leads to this dramatic also increase for the price of the hotels and ski resorts, and also to the numbers of skiers and skier visits as well. And also the third thing is, it has also brought some changes to this whole industry for the business model. For example, many people start nowadays, they start this kind of online like sales, online business. Because of the offline stores are closed. And also the last week, when I was talking with one friend, also doing some reselling and also distribution for some very good Western, like yes, skis and also some equipment. And he was saying that despite of the drop of the sales in their like offline stores in China, all over China, but their online sales, especially on the ice and snow, like yes, related like apparels, have greatly increased. So this is what I see the COVID-19 has brought to this whole industry. So that means now we are comfortable of dealing with what is happening, like yes, related to COVID-19, and we're developing the new business models. So I do see like in the future, there will be some like yes, increase and also good opportunities for this as well. And of course, for the investment part, when we are as an investor ourselves, and also given the statistics we have calculated, we do think when we are talking about this industry, the tourism and also the event, like yes, the games itself, the training part, the marketing part, also as well. That's something China is really not that good at, sports marketing. But now we see, for example, from the 2022 Olympic Games, like Anta and all those brands, the sponsors, they start also to catch up as well. And also the apparels. Those are the areas we do see there will be a lot of opportunities when we're talking about investment. Very interesting thing is, other than the institutional investors and individual investors, we do see many people in this industry or many companies, big companies in this in this industry, start to do the investment themselves as well, like Wanke, yes, official, originally maybe real estate companies start focusing doing this. So these are some. And also for us, yes, for IDG, we also have invested in this company. We have a fund about 55 billion RMB focusing on ice and snow. This is about popularization related to the winter sports skiing training. And this is incubator, yes, and this is the expo. So these I will quickly jump. And that's about the COVID-19 I want to talk about. And the next is this post-Olympic. When we are looking at the Olympic Games, I think when I was receiving the interview before, just before the Olympic Games, people were asking me what will happen after this. And at that time, I replied that surely we will see a drop of the increase rate, but maybe for this whole industry, it's still going to be increasing, but not that fast as before. And we will enter into a new norm. But however, during the past week, when we were watching the games and also discussing among the people in this circle, I have to say that maybe I was too modest. And now we've already seen like as many big increase in terms of the apparels, the sales, yes, like after the 2022 Olympic Games, and also the training, like yes, etc., and also the tourism as well. So what I want to say that before the Olympic Games, of course, we have the policy support, the capital injection, the whole industry's boom, and also consumer, they have money and they pay attention to, like yes, the health and related issue. It was going pretty well, increasing quite a lot despite of the COVID-19. But after this, I do see actually this continuing growth and even bigger, like, or even for some segments, like the tourism or apparels, maybe even like yes, higher rate than before. And another thing I want to say is this focus shift. Before, I think people more focusing on the 2G part and also 2B part. So that means we have all the investment in the infrastructure and also the venues and all those things. And now I do see after the 2022, because of maybe this model like effects, and also because of, yes, this sports has truly becoming more and more like popular, and people are not like unfamiliar to that anymore. So we do see anything related from the consumer side. So tourism, apparels, or training, as I mentioned, there will be also a huge increase. So some suggestions, well, these are some like, yes, general suggestions. Only one last thing I want to talk about, yes. For those companies, I understand either like right now here or in front of the screen, there will be a lot of companies that are interested in the market and also the potential in China. So one, I think very, very crucial, like yes, and practical suggestion I want to say from the bottom of my heart, because I have been dealing with so many foreign companies, even including the one we have invested ourselves. I have seen the successes and also the failures. So I want to say like, yes, one important thing is the localization. So this, I think the product localization, everybody easily, yes, get that. Even I give you one like very detailed example. When we are looking at the apparels, the Chinese consumers tend to pay more attention to the look. Like especially many of them are the first time skier. But I guess for the Europeans, maybe the performance and the functions. So these are something that for those companies who would like to enter into the market, from the product itself, maybe you need to think more. And the second is really what I want to emphasize is the team. I think within your team in China, there has to be a Chinese, like in a leading position together. Because the whole working environment and everything, that's really totally different from what was happening like in the US or Europe. Personally, I have been living in Europe for over 15 years. That's also my second home, yes. So we have like different ways of thinking, different logic, different networks, and also like, yes, the culture, different culture as well. So I'm not going to take more time. This is something I really hope I think everybody knows about this, but while you are really doing your business in China, entering into the Chinese market, I really hope you can executing or implementing this. And also I understand later on, Justin, yes, I will give more details about the business opportunities, and he himself personally may have also a lot of experience, like or good suggestions as well. So that's what I would like to share with everyone today. And so if you have any questions, feel free to contact us afterwards. And I really hope after the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, there will be more business opportunities for our Western companies and also closer cooperation between China and also the rest of the whole world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zhang Li, for the great presentation, the many insights shared. I personally found very interesting the fact that you mentioned at the beginning that the winter sports industry is growing also in the south or in traditionally known winter, let's say regions. So I found it very, very interesting. We also touched upon different sectors, equipment and infrastructure and venues. We are going to have, of course, a panel of representative companies in this sector. So and the other thing you also mentioned at the beginning, there was a slide with different policies, different government plans. I saw some dates going to 2023, 2025. So that's also one of the answers that we at the USME Center often give to companies asking us this. So the first thing you should look at is like 5-year plans, government plans that will already give you an idea on, because when there is a plan, China does it very well. So that's always an answer that we give. Now I think there will be a Q&A session at the end. Of course, there will also be a networking session, but for people joining from online, please submit all the questions you have. We can see them and we will prioritize, of course, your questions. So now I would move to the second presentation today. It's an honor to have Mr. Justin Downs, who is the president of Axis Leisure Management Beijing. Justin has been in China for many years. And he has had several positions at different resorts, ski resorts in China. Originally from Canada, he is a very renowned expert in the sector, and he's going to introduce from his perspective, some of the opportunities, challenges in the industry. So, Justin, it's a pleasure to have you, and thank you. Continue.
Thank you, everybody, for the kind introduction and for welcoming me here today. It is exciting. I was in Yanqing this morning, outside of the bubble, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be here right now. But just the excitement that is around all of these events, and of course, in the men's alpine slalom was all European affair, gold, silver, and bronze. So congratulations to all our Europeans. It's always a bit difficult to follow after Lee, so I'll do my best, firstly, not to duplicate anything she said, but secondly, most importantly, not to contradict anything she said. I know better than that, so.
Predictions are welcome as well.
Yeah, we try. I hear you. Okay, so just a little bit about us, as was mentioned. I mean, our core business, or my core business, is in the resort development and operations business, but that covers a lot of different things. Of course, we're not just building infrastructure and then operating it. There's food and beverage, there's retail, there's logistics, there's healthcare, there's education, there's HR, there's everything. So we cover a broad spectrum. It's not only in winter sports, but we do focus mostly and certainly recently on winter sport across all sorts of destinations, including indoors, which we mentioned is a very important topic in China at the moment. But we're heavily focused on integrated sport, recreation, entertainment, hospitality. Just a little bit of a service. We'll kind of be a turnkey solution provider. So basically, from the initial idea that a company might have to start a new product or a new venture in China, through to bringing in an existing brand or concept or business into China, we help develop the strategy, implement that strategy, in some cases, operate that strategy for them into the long term. So this is the hot topic, no pun intended, when we're talking about winter sport. All about, we can talk endlessly about what's happened over the past 15 years. Most of us have been around to see it and benefited from it in some way. Learned a lot, maybe not always positively, but learned a lot from what's happened over the past 15, 20 years. But it's really about what's going to happen now and how we take advantage of it. I won't dwell too much on the Olympics. I think it's relatively obvious. In the case of most countries, and including what's going to happen in Italy in 2026, most countries that host an Olympic Games already have a mature industry, whereas China is coming from a very low starting point. So the good thing about our industry in China is that when they talk about legacy, they talk about what's going to happen after the Games. But the good thing about the Chinese industry is we started to see the benefits of those legacies from the moment the Olympics were announced. So as we mentioned, just the massive investment by all of the players globally and domestically, as well as the uptake by the consumer to get involved in this sport, we started to realize the legacies 6 to 7 years ago, which is great. So we've seen massive environmental improvements. I mean, everybody is just amazed when they turn on the TV. They don't even see blue skies like that in their own country, let alone in and around Beijing. So environmentally, we've benefited and will continue to benefit. Socially, we're making a lot more money. We have a lot more free time, and we have a better life balance. Economically, of course, is obvious. We've seen massive infrastructure improvements around the city that everybody is benefiting from. And of course, sport at the end of the day is where we're all heading. You know, the Olympics, generally after the Olympics or during an Olympic year, you see participation drop because most people don't want to be bothered with the with the hassle of going to a busy venue or the security, especially in the case of China. But in this situation, only the resorts around Beijing or around Chongli specifically, they've basically been closed to the public because of security and COVID and other reasons. So there's going to be huge pent-up demand for these destinations around Beijing in not only next winter, but as early as this spring and this summer. So, you know, in the case of when we're talking about what's going to happen, as was mentioned before, we're talking about a 3-year or 5-year or even a 10-year plan. In most cases, like Vancouver 2010, for example, didn't start to see the benefit of its investments from 2010 until 2017, 2018, and even now. So China's got a long runway ahead of it to benefit from what's being put in place at the moment. We're going to see a lot. I'll talk a little bit about this more and how it's going to benefit companies inventing themselves for the China market or coming from overseas. But it all comes down to links to healthy living. And that's the government's driving initiative, is to the more happy Chinese population is, the better it is for everybody, including themselves, from a government's point of view. This was mentioned by Lee also, but I do put down at the bottom here, FIS, the International Ski Federation, and the Chinese Ski Association, who've come together in many ways, but even more formally over the past 6 to 12 months with the new president of FIS, whose initiative was to really focus on China market, the China market is seen to be important to the stabilization and the growth of the industry globally, both from the commercial aspect of it, of selling of equipment, to education, but also to global tourism and participation in the ski industry. So China is recognized to be very important to the rest of the world. But that being said, China knows that it needs a lot of help, and FIS has a lot of resources. So right now we're working together, and I'm a part of the FIS working group focusing on China, to standardize the Chinese industry, to give a sense of confidence to the consumer and to the industry, whether it's economically or safety or healthcare wise, to bring some standardization to the industry in things like ski school education, ski patrol, medical rescue, healthcare, just general safety, rental skis, the whole top to tail aspect of a consumer's experience. So almost creating a lead certification standard for the industry in China. That's something the Chinese consumer wants. That's something the industry wants. And that's something that needs to be brought in from the international market and customized for China. So this is something that I think that companies that are in the education or the development of processes and procedures and technologies can benefit from China's need for this type of standardization. It's coming from almost a zero starting point. So there's still a lot of opportunity for brands to come in. We know as consumers, and this is not specific to China, this is obviously a global issue, but while we know that we're coming from a very low participation rate in China, there's still tens and hundreds of millions of people yet to even experience the sport. We can't take it for granted. The industry in China needs to fight to keep people's attention. The more money that people have, the more time that they have to experience certain things, the more choices they therefore are looking after. So the industry as a whole, whether it's apparel or education or entertainment or tourism, needs to come up with unique value propositions to attract people to come into the sport. It doesn't need to be about skiing, it can also be about ice skating or other winter sports. But specifically about skiing, people have choices as to where they go. They can go to the movies, they can go to Universal Studios, they can go to Hainan. And of course, when they're allowed to, they'll go overseas. So if the Chinese industry doesn't keep delivering high quality value experiences, then there will be no retention in the industry. And this is the most important part about the industry as it is today. How to grow the industry, not just take quick numbers and put them in the bank. I won't dwell on this, but because Lee's mentioned it already as well. But importantly, skiing and winter sports is now not exclusively for Northeast China. As Lee said, it's becoming very popular in the central and southern provinces. Indoor ski domes, there's more indoor ski domes in China at the moment than there is in the rest of the world combined, roughly. And that's only going to continue to grow. And it's not just indoor ski domes, it's simulators, it's other types of AI and all of these types of things, that there's a massive appetite in China for people who can provide a simulated experience for people that can't get up into the Northeast where the real snow is. So these are opportunities for the tech developers out there who have a product, whether it's app-based or physically educational or education-based, training online is becoming huge. I had dinner last night with a friend who owns one of China's largest exercise chains around in the country, and he says most of his business now is focused on online rather than offline, and that's where the huge growth market is. He's sliced his HR overhead budget from physical studios and is putting all of his investment into AI, and seems to be doing very well. So this is where China is heading, and COVID certainly has done that to us, benefited that side of the industry. For the ski manufacturers around this group, obviously we know that equipment sales and apparel sales are benefiting greatly in China at the moment. Product sales are up around 135% year on year, and 107% is the statistic on physical skis and snowboard product. So the numbers, these numbers will continue to grow and grow and grow because again, we're just starting from a fairly low participation standpoint. I borrowed some of these pictures from my friend's WeChat just to prove that most people didn't even know China had a ski industry, and now the world has seen it through the Olympic lens, which is obviously very flattering. But there is massive participation going on around the country at the moment. This was a weekday last week, so it wasn't during the holiday. It was just a weekday last Thursday in Jilin province. Obviously the experiences leave something to be desired, of course. But people are lining up and they're looking for an experience. And I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. It's probably the limitation or the barrier to this industry becoming the largest in the world is infrastructure. So it's how to get people to these destinations, how to build enough hotel beds, how to provide them with an experience that doesn't result in you waiting an hour to buy your ticket and an hour to get your rentals to go stand in an hour-long line. Eventually, people will grow tired of that. So all of these, the improvements by the infrastructure by the government is certainly going to help, and the private investors, but certainly technologies that can come in that speed up and improve the overall experience and provide value for money. Chinese people are willing to spend money on a good experience, but if you don't give them a good experience, then they're going to complain about it and not come back. This is actually one on the right. Sorry, I didn't realize it would roll. This was, everybody knows it snowed in Beijing a couple of days ago, which was good for international press. But this was at 8 o'clock at night at one of our local resorts. Just literally hundreds of people who were out there on I think it was a Friday or a Saturday night, whatever night it snowed, weren't watching TV, which was good to see. Again, we all know that in European countries, large percentages of the population participate. And in China, we're still looking at a participation of the overall population of less than 2%. So that just goes to prove how many, many more people can enter the market. I think it's quite reasonable to assume that by 2025, 2030, that 10% of the population are considered to be skiers, and that's a pretty big number. So. Lee mentioned a little bit about mandates. Obviously, in my opinion, the biggest single contributor to the success of the industry is really about the government's changes to the education plan. So there's now more than 5,000 schools will have winter sports as a part of its curriculum. That's huge. I mean, if you just think about how many kids are in any particular Chinese school at any given time, times 5,000, it's easy to start understanding that this market is several hundred million. So, it's all about building national bases for training elite athletes. These athletes, as mentioned before, need training systems. They need trained coaches. Am I out? Okay. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Sorry. I can hear you, no problem. You can. So really, there's still so much, in order to get to the numbers that the government is seeking and that we as an industry are seeking, we need support from overseas. We need support to grow the industry in China, but we need new technologies and we need people to keep on innovating. And China's always been good, at least in the ski industry, about adopting a proven product from overseas and less about innovating new product. But very soon China is going to grow tired of needing to pay for or buy an existing product from overseas and is going to lead the charge in innovation around the world. So I think looking to bring new products and new experiences into the ski market in China is going to be very important. It's not just about skiing, and really it's all driven by about the government's policy to get people healthier, puts less strain on the hospitals, less strain on retirement funds. A healthier population is a happier population that generates more benefit. So you can see here, their goal really is to have about 40% of the population exercising regularly. So that's a pretty ambitious plan. You can just see out in the streets now and in the parks, people are running, people are going skiing, they're exercising. So this policy about providing, fitness venues all around the country is extremely important, and making sure that there are trained people in the industry. So this covers all aspects of sport. So but skiing and winter sports definitely is a massive benefactor, or is a beneficiary of this push. I won't read what's on here, obviously, and Lee mentioned obviously the growth in skating rinks and ski resorts around the country. But really, we're focusing on the core categories of tourism, retail, competition, and training. And Lee did mention these, but tourism, it has been benefited greatly because of COVID. Other parts of China that never really were on people's radar or bucket list of a place to go, like Xinjiang as a place to go skiing. Now everybody wants to go there. So it's really about the limitations and improvements of infrastructure. But there is no question that these places around the country, in Yunnan province, at Shangri-La, in Sichuan, in Xinjiang, in Gansu, these places will all benefit in the future. So it's all about time. It just takes time to build this infrastructure. Retail, sorry, I have to read my notes now. But from a retail perspective, as Lee mentioned, it's really all about online now. And a lot of the brands maybe see a lot of the big brands are downsizing their actual footprint of their retail, because most of it is gone online. And these brick and mortar retail spaces should be and are being more focused on experiential. So it's how to get the consumer engaged with the product. They're more like a demonstration center than they are a retail space. So you have spaces with simulators or the conveyor, like the Snow 51 style experiences, because they're trying to engage people and educate people about why you're buying a certain product. People want to learn about what they're doing. They want to feel like they're a part of an ecosystem, a club. And that's something that I think in China, more so than anywhere else in the world, it's about people fall in love with a brand and the family around that brand. I'll mention that a bit more in a moment. Competitions, of course, and this is a big focus of FIS, as I mentioned earlier. Aside from the standardization of the industry, FIS has probably the biggest library and exposure and access to how competitions and how training systems around the world operate. So what we're doing right now is we're pulling together the best practices from all of the leading winter sport nations around the world, including China, to create training systems, not just for how to teach somebody how to do a sport, but also how to the staff, the management of these venues. So not just the technical sport aspect, but the management of the venues. And competitions, there is no question these venues, they will not become white elephants as we call it. China is developing more and more international competition venues that will be used for FIS level and World Cup events in the future. And it's about developing a national racing programs and kids programs and masters, older programs, women's programs, men's programs, to utilize these facilities just to keep the whole ecosystem moving. Opportunities in the resort business for foreign companies to come in are plentiful. Certainly, you need to be competitive. Pricing wise, you need to have talented people, you have to have a good product. But I point out these four key areas. Anybody who can contribute to the infrastructure side of it, now that doesn't have to be trains and airports, of course, because the government takes care of that, but lift systems and the heavy infrastructure, hotels, schools, food and beverage, anything that is considered to be on the infrastructure side. Sustainability is unbelievably important. It's a national mandate by the central government to eliminate emissions or to be one of the leading climate change advocates in the world. So sustainability and sustainable products and technologies are of great value, and I'm confident that eventually the government will mandate sustainability minimums on all resort developments across the board. It's not all about the sport itself, the winter sport. It's other types of experience. The Chinese consumer, as we all know here, they don't go skiing from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're looking for other things to do. So what other types of attractions and businesses come in to support a winter sport destination? So it's all about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. What types of products and services can you bring in? So just because we're talking about winter sport doesn't mean that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of other types of activities and experiences that could come into our resorts to round out the overall experience. And as we've mentioned before, I cannot underestimate the power of the urban and indoor experience, not whether it's snow-based or ice-based or simulator or AI or whatever the case may be. The indoor experiential market in China is probably at the end of the day going to be bigger than the outdoor market. These may be obvious, of course, but the key point at the bottom here is that you know, the all about the online and the home, how to make shopping from home as easy as possible, and how to bring the experiences of the outdoors to the indoors is probably going to be the biggest growth factor for the winter sport market in China going forward. We all know how, as I was mentioning, we all know how big the online market is. And I don't remember the last time I saw cash or even used a credit card. It's all about how to buy things online. And it's all about how to get things delivered as quickly as possible. That's probably, make it easy for me to pay for it and get it to me fast is probably one of the key deciding factors of the buyers here. Almost at the end here. So the key trends that we see, and this is not unique to China, but I think this is an important graphic or an interesting graphic, is because of COVID, between 70 and 85% more people got into sport and training and fitness and wellness during COVID. Most people will stay with the online approach. So 70 to 85% of people have moved to online versus offline. It's just going to keep on evolving in that direction. We cannot assume that things will go back to the way they are or were before COVID. Sustainability is very important to, the more discerning Chinese buyer is more likely to buy something that has a sustainability aspect to it than not. So the sustainability story is very important to the consumer now. It's supporting the government narrative, which, as we know, a lot of people here choose to do. And then, as I mentioned before, the supply chain is critical. And for people who are importing their product from overseas into China, you know that it's become much more challenging and much more expensive. So finding better solutions to your supply chain. Don't assume that the supply chain will ever go back to being as efficient or as affordable as it used to be. You need to find more affordable solutions. So in summary, I kind of touched on all of these points earlier. The consumer in China, and perhaps globally, but I haven't left the country in a couple of years, so I don't know about the rest of the world anymore. But what I wrote at the top here in red is we're really trying to connect conscious culture seekers that are looking for an authentic, inclusive, and collaboratively inspiring social experience. That's kind of the key to the whole thing. It's not just buy a product and then I just wear it. People want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of a club. They want to learn something, want to meet new people. They want to travel and have new experiences. They want to grow. They're looking for something that tells a story. So if your product doesn't have something that contributes to any of those key points, then that's something that I would focus on. I think it's very important in the local market. Coming into China, you need to be committed to the long term. I mean, companies who think that they can come in. I must say, when I first came here in 2006, 2007, I thought, home run within 2 years. Well, still 15 years later, we haven't kind of got around third base yet. But you need to be committed to the long term. you have to understand who your local competition is, and your competition as a foreign brand probably in 5 years' time will not be other foreign brands, it'll be Chinese brands. So really understanding what brands are coming up and are getting the attention. I mean, there's many other interesting companies out there other than ANTA, who I have a lot of respect for, but there's a lot of other sporting brands that have not, names have not even been heard in other countries, and maybe not even have been heard in China yet, but you need to keep your eye on them. The power of online and the KOL, the key opinion leader, is unbelievably important in China. And I think most people's, from a Chinese, say, retailer standpoint or product selling standpoint, moving their budget towards KOL and social media propositions is critical. Creating a community is, as I mentioned, is unbelievably important. Brands, okay, I don't have a picture on here, but brands like Arc'teryx, maybe Arc'teryx, for example, does not really have a specific product unique to a specific market only. They're a lifestyle brand. So, but they've created their club of people that they're taking on travel experiences around the country. They're teaching them to rock climb. They're teaching them to hike around Yunnan. They're teaching them how to go whitewater rafting. They're teaching them how to enjoy wine. All of these things, right? It's an experience, and that's what people seem to appreciate at the moment. Customizing for the local market, Lee mentioned. Brand extensions is something that I found I can't comment on Europe, but in North America, we are a retail business. All we do is we sell bags or glasses or skis or clothes. We're not in the food and beverage business. We're not in the entertainment business. We leave that to someone else. But as you can see, just walking around here, walking around Taikoo Li, all of these brands are now getting into a more broader selling proposition, like Ralph Lauren is in the coffee business. Arquette now is in the cafe business. There's all these collaborations between different brands, both in pop-ups and permanents. And I think it's really about broadening your potential reach to a customer. So you need to collaborate, or you need to think about expanding your product offering to be a little bit broader, to welcome more people to be exposed to it. They might, if you're a snowboard brand or a ski brand, they may never become a skier or a snowboarder, but that doesn't mean that they won't be a customer of yours. So you need to think about it a little bit more broadly. And brand partners and investors, as IDG knows well, there's quite a bit of money in the capital markets in China at the moment that are looking for strong brands to come in to China to help. I mean, there's still so much empty space in the market. So finding a good investment partner in China is also a good proposition. They could be a distributor, it could be just a pure financial investor. But if you have a good product, don't underestimate the fact that there is money out there to help you to deliver it. And it's very difficult to do it by yourself from outside the country. And finally, I'd say finding good, strong outsourced service providers. You don't have to do everything. You don't need a massive HR team to do everything. There are some very talented event providers. There's talented logistics people. There's talented, distributors and partners. There's a lot of things a lot of people and a lot of companies you can collaborate with. So I've seen a lot of companies come in with a huge HR budget, $100 million per year, and burn through that and achieve absolutely nothing. But if they had found people on site that know what they're doing, it could have been much more effective, achieve better results at a much lower cost. So I would just be, I guess, in summary, I would just say, really understand who your target market is, who your consumer is, find the right partners to do it, have a good strategy that is carefully thought out and vetted before you come. But there's still plenty of room in the market, so no question. Hopefully we'll all benefit from that. That's me.
Thank you.
Justin, for the excellent presentation. Actually, speaking of brand extension, right down there is a booth of Samsung featuring all skis and all sorts of things related to winter equipment, which it's a pretty interesting example. Another thing you mentioned, I particularly like the fact you mentioned simulators, the AI kind of software things. I want to share something like 2 months ago in December, as USME Center, we were in sports, import sports fair in Haikou, in Hainan. And it was about sports, and there were all sorts of sports. It was like a sort of huge decathlon where you had like a football pitch and then all sorts of things. But there was one booth in particular, which was the one with the largest number of people. It was a booth of Bank of China, actually. And they had two simulators, two ski simulators there. There were like two machines where people could, like ski, like that sort of. And then I tell you, was the booth with the largest number of people in Hainan. So, yeah, that's definitely a simulator. This kind of software is something that's very important. Now I will move to the last part of our event. We are going to have a panel of representatives from 3 companies involved in different sectors. First panelist is Mr. Rhys Yu, who works from Pre-North Poma, and he joined, which is of course a subsidiary of HTI Group. He's the Olympic project manager in this firm. He served as project manager for Dimaklenko, which is another brand for snowmaking, and he was assigned 3 years ago to work to deal with the Olympics. So, Mr. Risu, please, if you can come here, we're going to have Shana here. Thank you. Then the second panelist is Dr. Andy Myo, who is the president of VP China, who is a Finnish company that works in venues, particularly ice rinks. But also Dr. Andy Myo is also involved in different associations and games, sports industries, and as small and medium enterprises. So it's an honor to have you here. If you don't mind coming here, please. Welcome. And the last panelist will be Mr. Leo Liao, who is the marketing director of Snow Elan Sports, which is a company very famous in the retail sector. So Leo is the marketing director of this company, which is from Slovenia, and produces personal ski equipment and high-end machinery, active in China for many, many years. So yeah, it's thank you for being here. I will be asking you a few questions. I will sit there maybe. Okay. So yeah, maybe the first question will be for you to introduce briefly what your companies do, starting from Mr. Rhys. Maybe you can use this one. It's okay. Use this.
Good. Okay, very nice to meet you. My name is Rhys. I'm from HDI Group. So the word of HDI stands for high-tech investment. And we have several business sectors around the world. And in China, we operate 3 brands. First one is Poma, headquartered in France. We deliver the roadway to the ski resorts as well as for the tourism industry. So, for example, this year we are building a roadway at the Heihe River, which is the border, across the border of China and Russia. It feels like 110 people in one cabin, and we each year can move above 5 million of the people between the 2 countries. So this is Poma, and the next brand we operate in China is Dimaklenko, which is headquartered in Italy. Dimaklenko offers the snow system, help the ski resort to make the snow. And for the past 10 years, we have delivered over 1,000 of the snow guns in China. The last brand is Pre-Not. Pre-Not is also from Italy, the same location with Dimaklenko headquartered. And we have, for the past 5 years, we have delivered over 200 of the units in China. Yeah. So this is the 3 brands that we are operating: Poma Roadway, Dimaklenko System, and Pre-Not vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So maybe now continue. Yes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Andy News. It's my pleasure to represent the WO patent to attend today's meeting. So, WebPay was founded in 1934, actually, almost 100 years. Since the 1976, we manufactured our first ice hockey dashboard. So now we have delivered more than 3,000 to over 30 countries. So for this protection system. So actually now in China's, now in the Olympics, actually all the ice hockey is the dashboard are from Olympics. Yeah, we do very standard set for the Olympics. And actually, meanwhile, we set up new technology centers just to doing the research on the new generation smart the dashboard. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone, my name is Leo and I'm working for Swaziland, Beijing. So basically, our company established 20 years ago by my boss Alice, who was just resigned after she was working in Nanshan Ski Resort, which is basically the first ski resort in Beijing as a purchasing manager. So, so she built this company from a very small company. Now we grew up into one of the biggest distributor in China. So mainly we have more than 20 brands. Most of them are from Europe, like Italy. We have SPM, which is a ski resort safety network system. So for the Yanqing Alpine Center and the Shougang big air venue, we have people now in the bubble and they're working to the safety network. And also we have snowmaking machines. On the other side, we have also consumer brands like more than 10 of them from the top to the end, and we supply the top athletes. For example, we sponsor the Chinese Alpine team for the ski post from Austria. The brand is Comfortable. And also we have some general, for the rental ski resort rental things, which is the low end. They're cheap, but we distribute a lot of them to ski resort. Also, we have retail channels. So basically, it's like half and half.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Leo, and thank you all. So maybe starting from you again. So can you please maybe introduce one very peculiar characteristic project or case that your company has done in China with one of the European brands, maybe from the retail or including the background challenges and the key takeaways from this project.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think the first point is about we have to recognize there are quite a huge difference culturally and from many sides. There are difference between the Europe market and the Chinese market. No longer the market, but also the product. So when we distribute, when we have most of our product are originally from Europe. So they have like top popular models from Europe, but just do not limit yourself to those, let's say the things, the rules. When you have a large range of product, maybe some of them are very popular in Europe, but not the same case in Chinese market. And never limit yourself when you learn those things from the factories. For example, I would like to share a story about the rental ski boots. So, our company quite focused on the rental channels for the ski resorts. The rental thing, the rental shops from in Europe and in Chinese are totally not the same. I think many of them who visit both ski resort in Europe and the ski resort in China, they will recognize these things. So I strongly recognize the Euro brand managers, CEOs. You should visit China and ski resort to see, to experience, because basically in China is one investor. They control everything in this ski resort. Meanwhile, in Europe, it's like a cluster that it's like they're quite separated. Like for the rental booths in ski shops that you have in Europe, you have one expert sales. They know everything, so they can help you. But here in China, like the workers, they have to deal quite a lot of works because the visitors, skiers, quite a number of them during Chinese New Year's or New Year's. So they have used to different methods. For example, we develop based on the Chinese market's need and the knowledge of skiers. We together with our ski booth suppliers, Alpina from Slovenia, we developed quite unique model just for fit for Chinese market. The material is from the shell is from Slovenia and the liner is from China, and finally we assemble here in Zhongshan. We try to use abandoned assembly line from Slovenia. We move it into Zhongshan, and so that was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, quite a long time ago, and that assembly line worked quite a lot because it's quite close to us, the final user. So which makes the shipment very easy and is very quickly to demand the market demand. Because the winter sport, especially for consumer equipment, that there is a circle that you have to put your order in January, February, and the factory in Europe, they will produce them during the whole summer, and finally you can pick them up in about August, September, something like that. But if you have an assembly line here, so you can just you don't need to stock quite many things because we really sell quite a number of them. You don't need to stock the final product quite a lot. You can have spare parts and you can be very flexible. And the thing is that also we sell both the shoes and we provide double the quantity of liner. For ski boots you have the shell and liners because it's a trend that most younger generation tend to ski at night. Some ski resort you can ski at night because some of them cannot get up very early, like 8 or 9. So they usually get up quite late and go outside after this kind of things, like my wife. Okay. So when you have people at day ski and night skis, the ski resort tend not to stock a lot of ski boots to accommodate those numbers. So they rather use different liners for the same shelves. So the consumers have a very good experience because you don't have enough time to dry the liners after the day shift. Yeah. So I think this thing is totally out of image from the European factory. But you have to only rely on the knowledge of someone who knows Chinese market quite a lot.
And this was mentioned in the presentation before. Have a local team, understanding the culture. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can learn from Europe for sure, but do not limit yourself from that.
Thank you. We continue your experience.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Actually, I want to share one piece about Pepe is not only supply for the Olympics. Actually, this is the World Cups. But actually, in China now, as Mr. Zhang has mentioned, more Chinese new links established on the EU, and but always the budget is not enough. I think most the Europe companies, the first time they enter China, they will meet all things questions. They believe that the production is best, but always the price are very expensive. Yeah. So how to do this? So that's we Chinese teams. We will always to discuss with our Finnish teams how to fit the Chinese market. for example, we not all project they need our best level is we call the better levels. No need. Usually maybe they need the epsilon or omega levels. So how to deliver this in the local market? And also, just as Ms. Jones mentioned, you should know who are the players. Sometimes also we have the local players. Of course, the price is more cheaper. Yeah, but but we can deliver the most fit the market producers. So of course the price are also a little expensive than the other players, but the owners they can accept this. And also from this the Olympics we will know that the Webis brand, more people know this. So this brand should have the values so they can accept this. But just as mentioned, that we need to have a long period to just adopt the Chinese market. And actually this is a culture, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So as pre-note, we supplies over 50 of the vehicles to Beijing Olympic, and I was fortunately assigned as the project manager to manage between signing the contract to deliver and then to the on-site support service. So there were a lot of challenges during the program, especially during the pandemic time. We have problems of delivery. We have organized the production at different sites. And then the event was canceled. So a lot of chaos with the organizer as well. But I want to make an example of, as requested by FIS, we are delivering a snow house system, which is a digitalization system into China. This is the first time we launched this kind of program for our customer, which is in the Genting Park. And this know-how basically helped the driver of the vehicle to understand, to know the thickness of the layer beneath the vehicle in real time. So basically, if we input a 3D model of the ski jump, the driver just need to follow the model exactly during the driving. So this saves a lot of time for him, his operation, reduce the skill level for the drivers, and also improve the quality of the bike. However, this brings the next level of the problem because we have to collect data. There are different types of data. There will be the terrain of the slopes, there will be the top surface of the snow, and also location of the vehicle, status of the vehicle. So we realized that this could be a potential risk in legal manner. So we have communicated in prior with the Olympic Beijing committee, as well as our customers and customers in venue. We try to help them understand how our program run, how we're collecting the data, and what type of data are going to be collected. We try to understand their concern, and we address it separately with our partners. So it went very successful. We implemented in the first year, 3 years preparation. We implemented in the first year, and it was tested very successful in the testing event last year, and that was very much appreciated by Genting this year during the Olympic. So the key takeaway is that when we want to have a digitalization, because that's helping a lot in the operational efficiency of the ski resort, we always be alert of the legal issues as well as the data security. And second, we have to communicate with our customers in advance, don't take it for granted. And third, we have to work with the professional partners, try to address the issue. And the last item is that there might be different understanding between city to city. So if you are successful in this city, don't take it for granted for the other city. So yeah, so this is my experience to share.
Very good. So digitalization, I think, again, we were seeing is very important, but of course, with these comes challenges. There are a lot of data security laws, and as you mentioned, so with opportunities, there are also new challenges. Maybe again, a question to you, Mr. Rees. You mentioned you have experience with procuring products and to services to the Olympics. Can you maybe go a bit more in more detail? How can you describe the process, for instance, from the very beginning? How do you actually, because this is a question that big companies ask to us sometimes. How can I access this information? How can I know, where these opportunities are? How can I, take advantage of this?
Yes.
And yeah, can you please?
Okay, so let me take an example from Beijing Olympic. This is a public tender, and usually public tender is ran by, let's say, state-owned companies for any purchase that's above $500,000. And sometimes for private sector, if the company is bigger enough, they will apply this public bidding as well. For example, they apply this. So this is just a format of purchasing. But for any purchasing, you have my recommendation. You have to get involved as early as possible. You might have your market intelligence, your salesperson, or sometimes you are big enough, you are invited to speak with the customers. So start the relationship, understand what they need, try to influence their expectation as early as possible. So that's one of the recommendations. The second, actually, for the Beijing Olympic, we have assembled a team, international team from Italy, from Austria, and in Beijing, our commercial and service team are together responding to the requirement of the tender document. This kind of scale of the project is so big, so you have to be very careful in very detailed and specific in the tender bidding document preparation. So make it looking very, let's say, very complete and looking good to your customer. And the third, which I had the connection with Ms. Lee, is you really to have the local service team over here. This is the factor key element that we differentiate ourselves with our competitors. We have professional technicians. They were hired from different industry, from engine, from vehicles. They solve problems very quickly, and this is highly valued by Olympic Committee as well. So actually, we have proved in this Olympic, and all the vehicles are running, supporting this event continuously with no problem. So that's the experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Neil, if you have a similar experience, especially from the standpoint of a foreign company,
Yeah.
you recommend your teams.
Actually, it's a good question. It's
Thank
all
you.
the thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Actually, it should be the time back to the 2018s, actually. Yeah, the RAPI for this year's, for the 2018, 19, 20, even for this year, for 2020, we supply for all these years the world champion, ice hockey world champions. But unfortunately, the RAPI never applied for any times for the Olympics. So when we discuss about this, we think that it's very important for us. So actually, I just want to use one word for how to do. It's the engagement. The all means actually, Ms. Zhang and Ms. Zhang also mentioned this. First one is the culture engagement. We all know the West and East, the culture different. But the thinking that actually my experience is different. So we need to set up a bridge to mix the foreign teams, Chinese teams, and our partners with engagement. So you can have a agreement to apply for these meetings and discuss with the Bangkok. And so that's why we need the local teams. We need to know in the right way to do the locations. And also, actually, that's a secret. The IHF, they have a very bad experience in Pyeongchang Olympics. So this time they are very careful about the buyers and a lot of detail requirements for the ISO platform. This the dashboard. The first they need to protect the players for the safety. So for Rapid, we have we first do the flexible the dashboard and also the software capabilities that were unique to help to do this protection. And also we need to protect the audience when the whole key was key. So more details we need to just to give the right to the plan to the Bangkok, to the IHF. Yeah. So that's if we practicing this, that's because from the all partners, so we just we have the engagement. We just we submitted to the Bangkok. Yeah. Yeah, and the other things actually is the idea engagement. So that because this time we call it is the Flago Olympics. We want more economics. So actually that piece production is focused on the multi-use and reuse. For example, in the Wukason, in the technical centers, we can use in the 6 hours, we change to an ice hockey, we change to a basketball in 4 weeks.
6 hours.
6 hours,
Okay.
yeah. So that's very important to the owners for the reuse these programs. Yeah, and also this set we need to be. You can use in the ice hockey. You can use the figure skating and the short track, the speed skating. All of these you need to be multi-use. Yeah, yes, yeah,
Like
yeah, like this.
And that was, I guess, very well appreciated by the owners, by your clients. Maybe for you, Leo, another question, since you are involved in retail equipment. So
We also involved in the.
okay, if you
No, but I would rather focus because I think both of them already cover the most important things from the bidding for.
okay, but you feel free to add something.
No.
Okay, so okay, then maybe we can discuss maybe later.
Yeah, later.
But because you are engaged in retail more than any other with the consumers, which channel? I of course you will have different channels, online, offline. But if you had maybe to choose one for if you were a new company, like a new European company that has very good products but not yet in China, and maybe you will start from one channel, you will focus on one city on one channel, what would be your choice?
Thank you for your question. So actually, I was approached by a lot of similar companies in trade shows like the Winter Expo organized by IDG and ISPO. Before the pandemic, I also went outside to Munich for ISPO and met a lot of entrepreneurs with very good ideas. I always suggest them to first find some people who knows Chinese ski market or the market about it and who knows the product very well. So discuss your product idea, discuss your offer with in European market and try to find the right position in Chinese market. I think this is the first thing because will be a lot of value propositions for your product. Maybe your product is for the expertise, for the racing, for the national teams, and maybe your product are for the general people, for the So there's a lot of opportunities, but try to find the right position, market position first. And from the market position, the second stage is find the channels you mentioned, but always try to discuss this with people who knows the Chinese market, and from not only from the one side, but from the whole areas, because we have a government, we have a 2P, and we have a 2C. So there's no limit. Your product can be a lot of opportunities here, and I think if you can find a good partner, Chinese local partner, and try to build long-term relationship with them, not just focus on 1 or 2 years, to try to be more long-term. Because it will be good for both. Because even for your local distributor, they will be cautious in the very beginning to invest, in the brand and this kind of things. But if you want to do retail, it's quite important. It's like snowball, to rolling bigger and bigger. It's not like 2B or 2G. You can do things like once you find a key person, you can conquer this stone. And for retail brand, I think you have to growing year by year. The good thing is that now Chinese market is growing really fast, really fast. With the people with the pandemic things, actually it's a boost for the online sales. So I would rather let those companies focus on the the online channels, especially Xiaohongshu and those things.
Right.
Because in my opinion, there will be two segments, two different world, like about ski how to say just the skiers.
Okay.
One is you can really go to the ski area, like ski resort near Beijing, or some very good like Songhua Lake or Weidahu. You can find very good skiers, and they ski quite often, and they know everything, and they don't usually share or like go to those like Xiaohongshu or this kind of things. But you also find another kind of people who, I mean, like nowadays we see from Tmall and JD that a lot of new growth in near Shanghai area, near the Guangzhou area, because now maybe they have an indoor ski market, and they are going to have indoor ski dome. And they are going to have indoor ski dome, and they have very good income, and they're willing to spend money in this sport, which could differentiate themselves to others.
Right.
Yeah. Could identify themselves as like new fashion, or someone with adventure spirit, or this kind of things. So
Right.
they would rather gather this information, or acquire brand knowledge from this social
Right.
platforms.
Okay.
And the Chinese version of TikTok, which is Douyin.
Of course.
And I think in Europe, those brands are quite traditional. They rather focus on very physical stores and POS, and those. They don't do mass marketing in the YouTube or Facebook, and I think those tools are quite old.
Right.
Compared with you can see a lot of new things in China. We have different ways to spread things.
So I would say online, but depends, of course.
Yeah.
But online is good. But of course, keep in mind what I was saying before, the
Yes.
experience.
Yeah, but first come to China and meet someone in the trade show.
Okay, right. Very good, very good. Thank you. So I have one very last question, and then we can start enjoying in 1 minute each. So we talked about the outlook. What do you think is going to happen? But from your perspective, from your company, let's say from us, EU brand, EU company, from your perspective, what do you think the outlook, the future will be? Challenges, opportunities. Where do you see yourself? Starting from you.
You mean in China?
Yes, yes. In the Chinese market.
Yeah, okay, so I think China.
1 minute.
Okay, yeah, no problem. No problem. China will be it's a very fast growing market, and if you want to success in China, you have to really invest your time and your your source here, and try to develop something locally. I think there will be a trend and a way to success for
So localization, localization and commitment.
Yeah, my opinion is that after Olympics, actually, it should be also more the cooperation between the China and the Europe.
Collaboration.
Yes, collaborations. For us, is the recovery with the Iraq. For our new generation, the sport is a new technology and support by the two ministries, both the Chinese, the most Chinese Ministry of the Science and Technology, and also the Finnish. So I think this will be very good, and that will be the new generation, and actually it's not only in China, all over the world, that will be the change the dashboard, the new smart.
So research and development.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rees.
So in my perspective, I think that the bigger size of the skill swords, in their turn, they are slowing down the investment because they're heavily impacted by the COVID. However, we see the other side, the local skill swords, smaller, relatively small and shorter distance to the cities, they are growing and have some keep investing to this skill swords like close to Tianjin or Beijing, bigger cities. They do have very good income for recent years. So that's one of the opportunity. And the second is we see the skill swords will keep optimizing their operations efficiency and also to provide the versatile of the products, service, and safety to the skills. I think that's the key of the future football.
So high quality and efficient, high standards.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So thank you all for this. I don't know if there is any maybe question from online. Maybe we are a bit late, but 5 minutes, we can have 5 last minutes for questions. If there are questions, prioritizing online ones. If there is any questions, let me know. But if there will be, let me know. Maybe one question, any questions? Renzo, Miss Zhang, comments, any remarks, anything you would like to share? Yes.
I have a provoking question, especially on the snowmaking, because we all have the snowmaking, and this brings a lot of snow, fun, etc. But what is the impact on the environment? What is the sustainability of this, and how is this balanced in a general environment, which is so much at the top of the agenda of the Chinese government nowadays?
Yes. Yes, so you are raising this question. Actually, I'm going to talk to my management next week as well. It's actually not the environment because in the winter you still have snow and very cold. However, is a lot of the skill source is extending the period of operation. So they want to make snow as early as possible and to prolong the time of operation after the end of the season. So a lot of the ski resorts is asking for snowmakers operated at marginal temperature. So this is one that we, as the manufacturer, has to respond to the market. So that's one of the factor. And in the second, many of the, if you are aware, many of the ski resorts are open in south of China. So they are requiring for sure of the snowmaking at the marginal temperature. In the meanwhile, we thought you cannot only rely on the snowmakers. You have to build for example, the cooling towers or the other options. Trying to make the water cool down. That's maybe the most efficient way to do so. So yeah, so we cannot change the climate, but we change ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. By the way, Miss Zhang, there was one person from online was asking for your contacts. You would like to be in contact with you.
Yes, sure.
So
Actually, I was asking my team previously to put my WeChat link.
okay, your WeChat.
But
Maybe you can try to find a way to do it. Meantime, I'm going around and ask for the quick.
Yes.
Oh, any other questions? Questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, thank you for sharing your experience, and the contacts will be shared soon. So now I guess we can end this discussion today. Yeah, maybe this is more for online participants. We are going to share slides and upload the recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. Maybe to the person who has more contacts, if you can send us an email, or we will share the contact. So yeah, I cannot change slide anymore, but yeah, thank you for this, for the participants. We hope it was an interesting event. Now we are going for those of you who are here offline, we are going to have a short networking session. We have some wine actually, which was sponsored by Sherpas, which is a very platform for food and for food delivery, very popular, especially among experts. So thanks to them for sponsoring this. So please, let's have some interactions. Let's know each other better. And in the meantime, we're also going to live stream some races. I think I don't know which races, but yeah, as a background. So thank you all, and see you next time, I guess. So you for online people.